Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh. Wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli, amma ba'. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, all praises be to Allah. We praise Him, we ask for His help, we ask for His forgiveness. We seek refuge with Allah from the wickedness of ourselves and from the badness of our deeds. Whoever been given by Allah guidance, then nobody can be a misguider for him. Whoever being misguided by Allah, then nobody can be a guider for him. I bear witness, there's no God worthy to worship except Allah. Only Him, no associate for Him. And I bear witness that Muhammad, His messenger and His servant. O Allah, give good praise upon Muhammad and the family of Muhammad. You give good praise upon Abraham and the family of Abraham. O Allah, bless upon Muhammad and the family of Muhammad. Bless upon Abraham and the family of Abraham. Very most worthy of praises and most exalted in glory. Today, inshallah, I'll be substituting for our Sheikh and Ustaz. Most of them is not here. So, wearing this because coming back from reception of our brother Helmi, who is actually, alhamdulillah, finished his akad nikah just now. Consummation of marriage just now. And inshallah, reception will be after 12. So some of them is still staying there, waiting until the reception. So inshallah, I will be substituting for our class. So today, inshallah, from our book, The New Muslim Guide, if I'm not mistaken, it's actually being repeated. Because the last time I substitute, the topic was about calling towards Islam. Is the end of the book. So we're actually talking in the page 36, inshallah, today. That is entitled, Islam must be judged by its sublime principles and not by the bad conduct of some Muslim. He said here, if you find a doctor who adopt harmful medical procedures or a teacher with bad moral character, you will certainly disapprove of their wrong practices, which are obviously at odds with their social position and types of knowledge. Because those people should be the best among the best. Even a doctor, they cannot have their practice except with license. If I'm not mistaken, if they left their practice for more than 2 years, they have to retake all the exam to be a doctor, certified doctor, and they have to have an oath to uplift every things about their practice. The same as teacher also. They are the one that will teach people about things, about manners and everything. So should be their manners and their conduct aligned with what they are teaching. But sadly, it's common to see people that is actually doing having that title but not doing the things that they are preaching or practicing or out of their practice. This, however, will not make you change your mind about the great benefit of medical science has afforded mankind, or the great position education and learning occupies in society and civilization. The two things about medicine and modern medicine, and also about education. You know that essentially its benefit towards humankind is so great. So you meet somebody is actually malpracticing the Russia fall, the fall of Russia. So the world, or we can say that America, the United States of America, start to produce a new type of enemy. Because some of the nation in this world, they have that things. They only achieve advancement in technology when they have enemies to go against. No enemies, they don't do anything, they start to sleep. Start to not having any advancement. So they have to create a new enemy. At that time, so starting from the beginning of 90s, start the words of Islamic terrorists. You don't ever listen, heard about non-Muslim Islamic terrorists like the IRA of Ireland. They are doing the bombardment in the public places. Also, you can see happen like in South Africa. You know, Nelson Mandela is one of when he was going against the apartheid, he was devising the type of using terrorism, public bombing in many public places. But you don't ever call at that time as terrorists. Even some of them said they are fighters. But now, after 1990s, early of 90s, so people start to say about that. The thing is, like we said, yes, there are people who actually not following their teaching or their belief correctly. Like if you see in Islamic tradition from the start, in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there are people start to go extreme towards something, towards some of their belief, like being said in the Prophet in the hadith narrated by Bukhari and Muslim, that at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there are some people asking the Prophet to be castrated. You know, they want to worship Allah, only Allah, nothing more, nothing to do with this worldly life. They want to castrate their private part, the sexual part, want to be castrated and want to worship Allah all day long, all year long, without any thinking about marriage or women. And the Prophet stopped them. And one of the tradition, the famous tradition about 3 of the companion went to the Prophet, peace be upon him, and asked the wife of the Prophet, how did the Prophet pray? He fast, how he wake up at night, how he recite the Quran. So when they asked the wives of the Prophet, and the wives of the Prophet, peace be upon him, told them what being done by the Prophet, they belittle what being done by the Prophet. They said, it's so little. So little. What the Prophet did is so little. It means that I can do also. You can do. But why? You know, we want to be with the Prophet. It's as if, they said, it's not logical for us to get the same rank with the Prophet just by doing the same that as the Prophet did. So one of them have the thinking, have the ideas. They said that, yes, the Prophet is doing that. Just only that. Even the Prophet wake up at night and he wake up and sleep. You know, these days we can listen to some people say you have to wake up at night all night long to worship Allah and fast every day and complete the recitation of Quran every day. You should go to the extreme, saying that the Prophet ﷺ did little, not like we thinking about. It's because he was being forgiven by Allah, whatever past from his sin and present. No sin from the Prophet. So that's why he doing that a little. That's the idea. So one of them said, I want to pray at night and I will not sleep at all. The second person said, I will fast every day. Every day I will fast and I will not break my fast. Means that there's no days that I will be at not fasting state. Every day will fast. All year long. And the third one said, I don't want to marry any woman. So the Prophet heard what they proclaimed and said what to do. The Prophet called them and said, what is this? They said, oh, the Prophet Allah, we want goodness. Means that we're doing it because of the goodness that we think. We want to achieve a higher rank with Allah. So the Prophet said, Ama wallah, verily, indeed, by Allah, Inni al-akhshakum wa atqakum ilallah. I am the most pious and the most feared person towards Allah. Among you, there's no person more pious than me. It's not about uplifting his position, but want for them to understand. Because I am the most feared person towards Allah and the most pious person towards Allah among you. But I pray and I sleep. I pray, yes, I pray at night and I sleep. I fast and I break my fast. Means there are days I'm fasting and there are days I'm not fasting. And wa atazawwajun nisa, and also I married women. Faman raghiba an sunnati, whoever dislike my sunnah, my way, falaysa minni, he's not from me. So the extreme thinking means that what we're talking today, people that is not going through the right teaching, starting the idea is not now. Even at the time of the Prophet, some of them is thinking about that, going to extreme. If the other side is actually going towards neglect, the extreme is two sides. Like being said in the Quran, when we ask Allah, ghairil maghdubi alaihim ihdinas siratal mustaqim, show us Allah the straight path, siratal ladina an'amta alaihim, the way, the path of those who you bless, you give blessing among them. Ghairul maghdubi alaihim, not those who are you angry at, walad dhalin, and not who is misled. So the two things that being said there about not being angry upon and not also misguided. In the Quran, it said those who being angry by Allah are those people who know the truth but going the other way from the truth. You know the right way, but you're not following the right way. Those people actually being said by Allah, maghdubi alaihim. And dhalin, those people who actually doing things that not being told to them by Allah. Even though we know that Allah Ta'ala has give us an example, the Jew as those people who actually being called as maghdubi alaihim. Why? Because they know the truth, but they going the other way. And we call to the Christian as dhalin, misguided, because they want the goodness, but they don't find the way. Allah Ta'ala said about Jesus, he loved like a son. They said that Jesus is the son of God, directly the son, really the son. Even though we know that Allah Ta'ala loved him as a son, loved the believers as son, as children, but not meaning that he begotten Jesus Christ. So anyway, that's two types. That's why Allah Ta'ala also said in Surah Al-Imran, verse number 110, kuntum khaira ummatin ukhrijat linnas. You all are the best nation that being brought up to the humankind. Ta'mur bil ma'ruf, you tell people to do the good things. Wa tanhauna 'anil munkar, and you forbid people from doing things that actually not good. Wa tu'minu billah, and you believe in Allah. Allah Ta'ala said in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 143, wa kadzalika ja'alnakum ummatan wasata, and as that we make all of you the wasata. Wasata means that moderate, the moderate or the middle people. Ummatan wasata, a middle ummah, a middle nation. When we understand the middle nation inside that ayah, it doesn't mean that you do good and bad at the same time. Some people say that you can be good, not too good. Like we said in the Malay proverb, buat baik berpada-pada. Doing good actually moderately. That is not the right teaching. Doing good is actually all the way. Because some people have that thought that mean that a moderate person, that is actually a person that do good and do bad. You know, not really angel, not really devil. That is not the truth, the true understanding. The true understanding is that you are not understanding as the extreme to neglect the command of Allah, and also you're not extreme to do something that Allah Ta'ala doesn't told you to do. That is wasata. Mean doing exactly what being told to you, that is wasata. Not add up, not reduce. Don't reduce anything, don't neglect anything. Don't over doing anything. So because of that, the two extreme in understanding is actually something that you seeing today. People that is actually proclaiming as a Muslim going towards terrorism, like I said just now, bring up the weapon and fighting with the government. That is actually one of the type, because the Prophet ﷺ did mention to his companion when actually being said to them, when he actually talking to them about things. So some of them thought that talking that the talk that the Prophet gave them, as if it's actually the last speech for them. It's like to say goodbye. So some of them said to the Prophet, what did you say is really as if you are saying goodbye to us. Please advise us, give us advice. So the Prophet ﷺ told them, Usikum bisam wa ta'ah. I advise all of you to listen and obey. Wa in ta'ammara alaikum abdun habashi, even though Allah Ta'ala make a leader among you from among the Ethiopian or the black servant as your leaders. Don't ever do actually what you say revolt upon the government. That is one type where you know that the Prophet ﷺ, his companion, never ever lift up their weapon to their leaders, even though their leaders is doing things that actually at that time after the companion, after Abu Bakar, the caliphs Abu Bakar, the caliphs Umar, Uthman and Ali. After that, they are kings that is actually oppressing people. But seeing that the companion never ever make war towards their government, because the Prophet did mention to them, even though you don't like them, don't revolt, because the result will be that when you revolt upon others, people will revolt upon you. So the cycle will not stop. Everybody will think that doing terrorism towards the government and the people is something that is permissible in Islam. Like you heard about the ISIS, they burn people alive and they're slaughtering people, because in Islam there's no such thing as a punishment. Punishment by fire is not permissible in Islam. The Prophet ﷺ did say, La yu'adzib bin nar illa rabban nar illa rabbun nar, will not punish with fire except the Lord of the fire is Allah. Nobody else have the right. So the companion uphold that teaching. So you don't ever listen that the Prophet ﷺ, his companion is revolting and doing things extremely, like what people happen after that. So from this thing, when you want to know Islam, you look at its teaching, not at the people, because the people can be wrongly understand and can be, like we said, in the time of the Prophet, some people start to go to wrong way of understanding. But the Prophet did correct them not to do that. Among things that actually being said is the hadith in Sahih Muslim. A guy named Saad bin Hisham bin Amir. Saad bin Hisham bin Amir. His father, Hisham bin Amir, is the companion among the companion of the Prophet. So he actually reside outside of Medina. So he came back to Medina and want to sell all his properties in Medina. And people said to him, why? You want to sell everything? He said, I want to sell my properties and I want to buy horses and also armory and also weapons, and I want to go to jihad until I die. And even add up to that, he divorced his wife previously. Now, before going to that conclusion, resolve, he divorced his wife. So divorcing wife, selling all the properties, want to buy weapon and transport just to go jihad until die. So when he came to Medina, want to do that, people of Medina advised him, don't do that. Because at the time of the Prophet, there are 6 people try to do that, but not be mentioned who are they. 6 people among the companion divorced their wife, selling their properties, want to go to jihad until die. Some people say that it's noble. But the Prophet ﷺ stopped them by saying, Alaysa lakum fiyya uswah. Don't you all have on me as your guidance. Means that you want to go to Jannah. You want the pleasure of Allah. Am I not your example? Am I not your example? If I don't do that, why did you do that? So this guy, in front of the people, Saad bin Hisham bin Amir, he proclaimed, here, listen everybody, I already remarried my wife. In front of the people. Because he divorced his wife before coming to Medina. So that is actually extreme thinking. But these things, like I said, can occur from people, actually as a Muslim, can be having that type of understanding. Maybe because who they are be friend with, or what their background, early background before becoming Muslim, or their childhood, their fathers, who their father, who their society, can influence their understanding about Islam. So when you see this type of people, you should remember that Islam must be judged by its sublime principle and not by the bad conduct by some Muslim. You can see that we say, yes, we have some people that is like that. From one tree, one big tree, you can have some of it good and some of it become spoiled. But even in Malay, they said in one whole stack of banana, you can have some of it's rotten, but you don't throw it away, because the rotten one you throw it away, but the other is actually still good. That is the way you're judging, and to judge people by not by the conduct of persons, but by the whole principle that been taught. Okay. By some token, if you find some Muslim who follow some bad practices, you may mistakenly assume that such practice reflect the spirit of Islam. This day, some people saying that. Actually, we met somebody. Some days he said the Islam so extreme. You can hold the hand of your wife in front of the public. Actually, you can hold your wife hand in front of public, but to show affection, like in the Western country, the affection between husband and wife being shown even in front of the children, because some things the children is not ready yet to see. It means that if they see the parent is actually hugging and doing something, the pre-sex movement. So things like that should not be shown. Even Allah Ta'ala made in the Quran 3 times in Surah An-Nur, verse number 58. 58. Surah An-Nur, verse number 58, is called as your aurat. Means that your children, even though they are less in young age, small age, before puberty, they must ask you permission to enter your room. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the room they don't have any doors. Just really they open up spacious area. So being asked by one of the tabi'in to Ibn Abbas, what is that ayah, the 3 aurah being said in Surah An-Nur, about not to let your small children to go into that area before Fajar, after Zuhur, afternoon, and after Isha, after the prayer of Isha. That 3 is actually aurat lakum. Is actually considered as something to be close from, even from your children, because maybe the conduct, the way you dressing at that time is not suitable for the children, because sometimes the children doesn't have to see or know something like that. So they say that Islam so extreme about stopping something that actually is natural to happen. But the problem is, if you teach these children that type of things before their age, something will badly happen. When I was studying in Yemen in 2005, when I returned for vacation, my sisters, actually, I have 8 sisters. All of them are teachers in school teachers. Me, actually, I have a big family, 14 together. I am number 13 from 14. One mother, one father. So one of my sisters she talked about something that happened in her school in Siti Wangsa at that time, that children is very young start to practice sex between the friend, 11, 12 at age. Things actually because they saw it on the conduct of their parent, and some of them use their parents' money to go to cyber cafe and look into it more and more, and suddenly they start to practice to his sister, his friends, sisters. So actually this thing is so bad. You cannot conduct, because we know that as a young age, the children is actually so pure. You don't have that type of thinking. You know that people who actually are old in their age, or actually these days actually as old as me, we actually, when we are small, we are not exposed to something like that. So we are playing with our friend, male and female, actually the same. We don't think about that. Nothing. No thinking about, oh, you touching me, I touching you. Nothing. We treat the girl as the boy. And the boy is created by the girl as a girl. They don't care, playing around. But these days, really, actually something that actually, because of the exposure being done to the children, you can see that some of children, even my little daughter, she said that one of his friend, she is 5 years old. His friend, when she was 4, one of her friend asking permission, can I kiss you? Boy. What is happening to our society? That is sometimes when Islam said no, you should conduct separately. So some people say it's extreme, so extreme. It's actually, like I said, the following of the teaching of Islam correctly, exactly, is not an extreme thinking, like separating boys and girls, men and women. Even though some people say that it's so extreme, but now we can see that separation of man and female is actually being done in the train. In 2005 when I came back from Yemen, I can see that they are trained coaches for women, pink coach for women, but there's no blue coach for men. You can have places for women near the door at the mall to park her car. You cannot get a man to get the same things. Why? Because the differences is there. So wrongly thinking to say that male and female be separated as an extreme. So, but people still talking like that, especially when they said about the Afghanistan government, the new government, stopping women from learning. You can see that learning being done in Yemen. Yemen is actually not really a developing country, poor country. But women there in the university are more than men. They are being allowed to learn. The people that are losing to that. But when Afghanistan government, the Taliban government, come into power, people start to say that Islam is forbidding women from studying. The conduct is not from all the Muslim, but some of the Muslim, but start people to say everything about Islam. So something that actually you must understand, Islam is not represented by the misconduct of its followers, because the true teaching of Islam will not do that. And also you can see that all the conduct of teaching of understanding of Islam is being done by the majority, not by the few that is doing something that is against the teaching of Islam. Because in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the question and answer, or the session of learning by the Prophet ﷺ is being done. By day, men will be coming. And the Prophet ﷺ did make some times for the woman to come to his house and learn and ask questions to him. So the learning process is actually being done. Even Aisha anha said that Rahimallahu Nisal Ansar, may Allah Ta'ala have mercy, or he said that best woman is the woman of Ansar. The woman Ansar, the woman that reside in Medina before the people from Mecca migrate. Those women there, they have level of understanding is actually different from the women of Mecca. The women of Mecca just follow whatever the husband said. The women in Medina will argue with the husband. They argue back with the husband. The husband says one thing, they will answer with two things. This thing happened with Umar ibn Khattab. He had some quarrel with his wife. Then suddenly, when he get angry at the wife and said, "You answer back to me," the wife said, "It's not me only. The wives of the Prophet, all of them is answering back to the Prophet." So Umar start to be quiet. And happened that when the wife of the Prophet came, all of them, to the Prophet, saying that they see the Prophet get some present. People give present. But the present never ever got to them. You know, when people give something to your husband, you should get something from that. But the Prophet ﷺ, when something being given to him, and some poor person came to him, and he will give it away like that. Nothing go to the kitchen. Nothing go to the kitchen. So the wife of the Prophet did gather all together, and they asked the Prophet ﷺ, they are right. So Allah Ta'ala answer back. The Prophet ﷺ really feels sad about that. And Allah Ta'ala answered to that in Surah Al-Ahzab. In Surah Al-Ahzab, maybe you can look into it. Verse number 28. In Surah Al-Ahzab, number 28. Allah Ta'ala said, Ya ayuhan Nabi, O Prophet, Qul li azwajika, say to your wives, in kuntunna turidnal hayata dunya, if you all want the life of this dunya, the worldly life, wazinataha, and also its adornment, fata'alain, come, umatti'kunna, I give whatever you ask, wa usarrihkunna sarahan jamila, and I divorce you with a mercy divorce. I will not force you to follow me anymore. So Allah Ta'ala give that ayah because of that. So Umar ibn Khattab, when the Prophet ﷺ, before he get that answer, he make a tent outside of his houses, and stay there, not going back to the wife. So Umar came to the tent, and when he want to make the Prophet feel happy, he said, "O Prophet of Allah, we people of Mecca, our wives always follow whatever we say. Go right, left. But when our wife mingle with the woman of the Medina, they start to answer back to us. They start to answer back whatever we say to them. The Prophet start to smile. You know, things like that happen. So Aisha said about the women of Medina, even to understand that there's no such thing as stopping women from learning in Islam. The Prophet the wife of the Prophet, Aisha said, Ni'mal nisa al-ansar. The best woman is the woman of Ansar. La yamna'unna al-haya. Never ever stop them, the shyness that they have from understanding in religion. They asked the Prophet until sometime the Prophet himself feels shy to answer that back to them. So they have a private session, a woman with the Prophet, peace be upon him. Means that Islam never ever stop the learning process. So if you look into the media, they are showing you whatever happened in Afghanistan about oppression upon women. Feel free to understand. You should not understand it by the media's news, but you should understand it from the record of the Prophet ﷺ. Then you know that it's not being stopped. Even now in Saudi Arabia, they have universities for just women. Just women. You see Arwa in Riyadh and universities being given just for women, not for men. Because the numbers of women going to universities is so high. Even in our country today, you know, men essentially really start to extinct in the university. Women essentially allow a lot. Even the grades for men to enter university today is being actually lowered for their grades than the women, because women is competing to each other, but the men is so little. So the men being given easiness to enter university because the numbers is so small. So you know that is the thing about the conduct of few Muslim. Wrongly conduct is not from Islam. Telling people to go to war, not from Islam. In Islam, war only can be done by the command of the government. No war in Islam you conduct by guerrilla or small group of people taking knife and taking guns and start to kill people. There's no such thing. Even if you learn about the law of Islam, the punishment in Islam about theft, about fornication and everything is done by the government, not by the Muslim. The Muslim cannot do anything. And only the government can do something about that punishment. Always. Even like you said about going to war must be called by the government. These days, when people say that we want to go to war in Syria, which government are you with? No government there, no war, no jihad. But this is not being exposed. So many people doesn't understand that in Islam the teaching is there, but how is the conduct? Okay? Sometimes the story is true, but how is being understood? Okay? He said here, you may mistaken assume that such practices reflect the spirit of Islam, which is obviously not true. Just because the wrong practices that of that doctor or teacher cannot be possibly attributed to the medical or educational professions. Such Muslim bad practices cannot. With an even stronger reason, be attributed to Islam. Is not called as a Muslim, Islam conduct. There is even cannot be returned back to Islam, because that is actually something being done by that person only. They merely constitute an aspect of human weakness and could therefore be attributed to wrong culture practices which have nothing to do with Islam. That is actually the way you do that. Even the Quran, when Allah Ta'ala said about the people of the book, Allah Ta'ala said about some of them, not saying all of them. Is the way we judge or we giving the rule. You never ever said everybody is related to that. And you don't say something like that. We must be surely that the teaching is there from the source of the teaching, not from the conduct of the followers. Okay, Alhamdulillah. We finished that. Do you have any question? So busy, Brother Johan. Any question? Inshallah. No question? Understood all of it, inshallah. You don't understand? Is there something you want to ask?
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Assalamu warahmatullah.
Now the question is like that, how does this apply in our modern days? The topic you have shared today.
The topic that we shared today, like I said, things that after Islamophobia being thrown away. A few months ago, when some people we know that political parties, they are doing something like wearing clothes like army in the war, even though it's just wooden stick, not a real weapon. So people start to say, what happened here? But it's just something that when we go to Sarawak, there are the tribesmen wearing the same clothes with the weaponry. It's something that being said as culture. So being shown by media, some of the pictures, and when you look at the whole picture, there are many other clothes being worn on that day. So people start to say that we are afraid of Muslim going to war and start having war. Just because of that, actually some parade being done by them. Even if you go to Comic Con, yeah, they have wearing that. The sword is there.
The cosplay,
costume play display. Even actually, if you follow some of the anime, like you follow.
Share another question here. Now, what does it represent of Islam by doing that? How does it represent to Islam, to the modern days of today? This is the so-called cosplay. There is, a certain political party when doing that. Okay. They're doing some sort of a message to the Muslim community. It's saying what? What does it say to us?
Okay. Wait, to see that if you really learn the tradition of Islam, talking about war is part of Islam. You cannot say it's not there, because when you look into the Prophet ﷺ life, after he migrated to Medina, after the second year of migration, the war of Badr happened. After that, the war of Uhud, and after that, the war of Ahzab, and after that, war one after another. Actually, the fighting is there. You cannot deny it. So when you learn about the tradition of Islam, the story of the Prophet, you cannot separate it from there. Only that you must say that in Islam, any act of war or conduct of weaponry will happen only from the command of the government. You must make it clear. Because sometimes when you just showing the picture, the weapon, people say that I can buy my weapon, I can go out to war as I like. But in Islam, it's not like that. You must follow the government. As long as the government doesn't command you, you cannot go out. You know, from this story, you can see Ibn Omar in the war of Uhud. He doesn't reach 15 years old yet. He wants to go to war. He can carry the weapon. But the Prophet told him to stay. No, you have to stay. And when the war of Ahzab, the Prophet allowed him to follow. Means that whoever wants to go to war must get the permission from the government. Because the Prophet ﷺ at that time representing the leader of the government. So nothing will be happen without that. So when you understand that the army that being provided by the government, they are the one that will go first to anything that relating to the defense of the nation. Not you carrying parang and everything, go out from your house. It's nothing like that.
Yeah, but sure, but this is the question here.
Yeah.
In general, yeah, and common people, we don't understand this. What does it bring a message to us? Why is this particular party are doing to put fear?
Okay.
Why is that so? Is this teaching of Quran?
Okay. First thing first, like I said, if you look into the whole pictures, you can see that the media is focusing on that particular clothing. Even though they have many clothes, they have train in the parade. They have train people riding, on the train, on a ship, on a car. Many other clothes, but they don't show that all of that. They're showing that particular picture. And starting from that point, people start to argue, start to say that this is actually fearing, because this is actually, like it said, Islamophobia, about actually something that related to Islam, about war. Well, you know that in our country, Alhamdulillah, we have passed from 57, from the independence of Malaysia. You know that Muslim and non-Muslim in Malaysia are living together. Nobody is actually fighting each other. Inside a village of Muslim, can a non-Muslim have a shop and be rich? One of speaker that I met, he said that my father is a non-Muslim. He was very rich inside a village of a Muslim people. Nobody boycotting him, saying not buying from him because he's not a Muslim, non-Muslim. Nobody saying that. We are practicing that, but we know that, like these days, if you look into the situation in India right now, the political movement of that particular government parties is actually, like I said, creating among the people to fight the Muslim, even though they are staying there for 100 years. When Islam was conquering India, nobody from among the non-Muslim being oppressed, being changed their religion. But these days, you cannot wear hijab to the school. So people not saying about their rights. The Muslim want to wear tudung or hijab to the school, being stopped to enter the school. This happening because, like being said, that movement, Hindutva, they actually the one that shot Mahatma Gandhi being shot by that movement, because they said that Gandhi too lenient towards the Muslim. So they shot him. And these days, the shooter is being prevailed as the heroes of the nation. Not like before. So this is something that you must take into consideration. We're afraid that some political parties or some political movement is using to make their existence become something that actually justified. The movement is justified because they are fighting with something. So they start to create the situation like Islamophobia. Like I said, we in Malaysia, Alhamdulillah, until today, we are living with non-Muslim or Muslim and many races. Just now, I came back from our brother, consummation of marriage. His family is all of his Chinese. And from the girls, the bride is really Indian. The ancestor is still non-Muslim. Her grandmother is still a non-Muslim and coming to the marriage, and all her relative is Indian, non-Muslim, many of them, and this from the groom, non-Muslim from Chinese. So no problem about that.
Sure. So sorry to interrupt. Now this is a very long debate. And I don't wish to continue with all Islamophobia. We should all Malaysian, we are aware that this culture, is it already here? Now the question is, as a non-Muslim, as a new Muslim, what do we learn? What do we learn from this?
We learn from this topic today that every time you want to know about Islam, go toward the source of Islam, not to look at the people. Because people actually can change. Today he's like this, tomorrow he's like that. The thinking of people will go all around towards everything that they feel is really better for them. But Islam will always be Islam. The teaching of Islam will not be changed, ever. Amen. Because of that, we know that when you want to understand Islam, go to the source. Really go to the source and choose wisely who you ask about the understanding of Islam. Because if you wrongly ask, then you may found out yourself going to Syria and start to carry weapon because you asked wrong person about that.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Any question more? Any other question? Oh, feel shy to ask, I think. Okay? Okay, Alhamdulillah. So we stop here, then we continue with level 2, insyaAllah. Wallahu a'lam. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa sallam alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.